Hello, welcome back to Cover Together with Mara and Bugs. As always, we've got a pretty expansive docket to go over today. We've got the NBA Finals, we had Game 3 yesterday, got the NFL offseason, this Texas Tech mess in the NCAA, and if we have some time, we'll cover a couple other things, but those will be the main things, and boy, do we have a lot to talk about. So let's start the NBA Finals. Game 3 yesterday, Spurs pulled out a win they desperately needed. I mean, obviously, if you go down 3-0, it's a wrap. They pull out the win in Madison Square Garden. Fans are raucous. Trump is there. Distractions are everywhere. Wemby, fantastic game. 32 points, 8 rebounds, 6 assists, 2 steals, and 3 blocks. Very efficient, 11 of 18. I think the true hero on the Spurs side, though, is Stephon Castle. 23 points, 5 rebounds, 5 assists, 2 clutch free throws at the end to kind of seal the game. I don't know. I know you don't have too much faith, but I think the Spurs could get them 3 more before the Knicks could get 2 more. What was your thoughts on yesterday, the game, the series, and what it's all looking like?
I would say yesterday was a great day for the Spurs. Obviously, they get a win out in New York. To go to New York in that raucous crowd, good for them. There was a lot going on in that building yesterday. I was a little frustrated by the win because, as I told you the other day, I'm ready to wrap this up. I don't know how this series is leaning. Initially, it came out with New York swinging hard. I'm just going to say it from a coaching perspective, there's not a lot of good coaching going on either side.
Mm-hmm.
And, hopefully you guys still want to come on the show. But I just feel like Mike Brown, as long as he's been doing it, he's not drawing up a lot. It seems like a more free-flowing offense. From the Spurs perspective, same thing with Mitch Johnson. He's not doing a lot either. He's kind of just letting them figure it out. And they're doing a lot defensively, don't get me wrong. Him and Sean Sweeney, who will be the Magic's new head coach pretty soon, they're dialing it up defensively. A lot of zone coverage, a lot of switching, a lot of man-to-man. They're really doing everything. And then you, of course, have like the best free safety in basketball, Victor Wembanyama. So they cover up a lot defensively. Stephon Castle was hooping last night. He was hooping his tail off. I had to think of a nice way to say that. Him and Dylan Harper, they are definitely the future of this team alongside Wemby.
Yeah.
And I think the tough part is the rest of the supporting cast. I would have so much more faith in them to go 7 games and to win it all if Keldon Johnson wasn't averaging 4.3 points per game.
Mm-hmm.
If, even though Stephon Castle is hooping, if his plus-minus wasn't -3.
Yeah, it's the turnovers.
Yeah, the turnovers and the unsteadiness offensively.
Mm-hmm.
Dylan Harper, for as much as he's scoring, he's only averaging 14 points a game.
Yeah.
Which is very interesting, but he's impacting the game so much more aggressively. Believe it or not, De'Aaron is averaging 13 points straight up, plus-minus -1.7. Now, he has been in his Chris Paul bag, and his assists are up for the series, but I wish that Swiper would be Swiper.
Yeah.
As we were talking about the other day, as the new front man for Under Armour and the new brand ambassador, because I don't know who else Under Armour has, that could step up now that they've lost Steph. But I just feel like it's time for him to be the leader that he should be, not only off the court and being a leader in the locker room, because he's doing a great job with that. You see him pulling Stephon Castle to the side and Dylan Harper to the side and Wemby to the side. But on the court, I know that ankle is bothering you, but you have got to get to your spots and make buckets. You have to. They need it so bad. I got hope for him. I'm not gonna give up on them all the way, even though I'm weary of this finals.
Mm-hmm.
But it's good basketball going on for sure, and the refs are staying out of it. They're letting them play for once.
We had a lot of complaints about the refs in last game. The free throw disparity, although the fouls are really equal, it was the fouling when they occurred and how often they were for the Knicks. The Spurs were in the bonus for a long time. They got a lot of free throw shots, and we heard a lot of complaints. Mike Brown got in his post-game conference and complained about the refs, obviously trying to set it up for next game and hopefully get more favor with the refs. But I thought Mitch did a better job coaching. I have not been a fan of his coaching throughout the entire playoffs. But as you said, they took Wemby off of Cat. I don't know why he was on him to begin with in those first couple of games. Let him roam, be more of that free safety. All he had to do was close out to the corner last game instead of trying to stay with Cat from the perimeter to the inside to wherever Cat is moving around. And give it up for the guards. I mean, perimeter defense in this series prior to Game 3, terrible. They were not doing the best. I mean, Jalen Brunson had terrible shooting splits, so you can give that credit to Stephon. But other than that, the perimeter defense has not been good. But last night, in the crucial moments, it was great. And you mentioned Swipa and De'Aaron. He's been struggling. He was 3 of 13 before he hit that big mid-range jumper late in the fourth. So credit to him for staying with it, even though he was struggling. They don't win the game without that mid-range jumper. Now, on the Knicks side, we got a lot of JB ball, okay? And the Knicks in this series are going to go as far as Cat takes them. And that's a hard pill to swallow because I think most of us look at Cat and we're a little side-eyeing him. But he's been performing really well these first couple games. Obviously, his physicality, moving Wemby around, getting to the basket has been big for them. And they just completely went away from him yesterday. I think he had 10 field goal attempts. Jalen Brunson had more than him and Josh Hart combined. We had a lot of possessions where Jalen was just dribbling the air out of the ball. I mean, huge mistake on the Knicks' behalf.
Yeah, I think... So we were talking about it yesterday watching the game. JB has this thing where he has touch on that ball, where he can get that ball off the glass perfectly every time.
Mm-hmm.
Him and Jose Alvarado are just arcing the ball over a stretched out hand of a 7'4" Wemby, who's sometimes jumping, sometimes he's not. But regardless, they're getting the ball up like 8 feet in the air.
Yeah.
On top of that, I think what they're trying to do from the guard point is what OKC did last series, where you saw Hartenstein shooting a lot of floaters, high arcing floaters.
Mm-hmm.
You see the guards for New York doing the exact same thing.
Yeah.
The problem is that's not Cat's game. Cat, I watched Cat for a long time. A floater is a part of his bag, but it's not a big part of his bag.
Yeah, he doesn't want to go to that.
He's a line drive shooter. He's a guy that wants to get to his spot, and he wants to knock down a big three if he can. And if he can't shoot a three, he's going to kind of go after having a few twos here and there. He might drive. He feels comfortable driving on Wemby.
Yeah.
Because Wemby is tall and as stretched out as his arms can be at their max. He's not a super strong guy.
Mm-hmm.
So he feels comfortable driving on Wemby and trying to get those fouls, but they're also going right at Cat on the other end, and he's slow. Respectfully, I kind of like Cat's game. When he came out of college, he was considered supposed to be one of the next best big men ever.
Yeah.
And so that game is still translating, but this is where Mike Brown kind of comes in of not dialing up plays.
Mm-hmm.
We saw in the first 3 or 4 offensive possessions for the Spurs, they went right to Wemby in the post.
Yep.
I mean, it was like 3 or 4 dunks straight in the post.
Mm-hmm.
And that's them saying, we're going to take Cat out of this game. That was them trying to, I don't know if they were trying to get in the Cat's head, but it worked. Mm-hmm. Whatever it is that they were trying to do, trying to establish dominance down in the paint, it worked.
Yeah.
Now, I will say that the Spurs had a lot of tough shots that they made, a lot of Kyrie Irving-esque layups by Stephon Castle last game that I think that he can continue to do, but I don't know if they get the same luck to get those shots to be made. You know what I'm saying? I feel like it's one of those things where this is where the series gets tricky, and this is where my faith kind of left the Spurs because they made a lot of tough shots.
Yeah.
And it took a lot to win that game. And that's where I start to kind of fall off the bandwagon with the Spurs because when it takes a lot to win one game, that's hard to replicate for 3 more.
But I mean, look at it on the flip side. They've led every single game. And it's just been the Knicks walking them down in the fourth to take the win. I mean, game 2, it was split. The Spurs had to walk them down to get close. It's just been like they're right there.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's a lack of maturity because they are young. The poise of the Knicks, they've been here before. They all have that familiarity with each other. I don't know if that's what's contributing to it, but it's just been the endings. The Spurs haven't been able to close. I mean...
Well, that's the thing, though. You know, both teams, it's a tale of 2 teams. Because what have we seen throughout the playoffs for the Spurs this entire playoff run? They get up by 10 early in the first.
Yeah.
They get up, and it's like, here we go, okay? Then that lead starts to slip in the second quarter.
Mm-hmm.
The Knicks are notoriously known all season long for being a third-quarter team.
Yeah.
Third quarter kicks in, and it's something about that third quarter that they just lock in and say, okay, we're going to take it serious now.
Mm-hmm.
JB comes down, he's like, I'm going to have a 30-burger in the third quarter.
Right.
And you can't stop him. And especially in that rockin' MSG crowd, and they've been traveling to San Antonio, he gets to his spots, and he starts knocking down shots in the third, and it takes teams out of it.
Yeah.
So this is going to be big for the Spurs to lock in and really hone in on the third and fourth quarter over these next few games.
Mm-hmm.
That needs to be a huge deal. And even if you need to take away from the defense in the first couple of quarters so that you save it for the third and the fourth, you need to lock in heavily on both sides of the ball so that you have a chance in the fourth. I think that's a big deal, and that's the only way that they can really get through this series.
And yesterday was the first time in this 3-game series that Wemby played 40 minutes, and that's what it's going to take. Yeah. I mean, Luke Cornett would come in for a minute or two here, grab a couple rebounds, and he was back on the bench.
Absolutely.
You're going to need Wemby for these 40 minutes. I get it. He gets tired. He's carrying a huge load, but if they want to pull this off and get this ring, they need him for 40 plus.
You know, it's kind of funny. I'm sitting here looking at the shooting splits for both teams, and I mean, they're pretty much identical. Yeah, I mean, the Knicks are winning in nearly every category, but it's by slim margins.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing that they're not winning in is field goal percentage overall, and it's by a 0.2 margin.
Mm.
They're winning in points per game. They're winning in rebounds per game by two rebounds. They're winning in assists by 0.3. They're winning in steals by 1.7. They're winning in blocks. I'm sorry, they're losing in blocks, but it's only by 0.7. I mean, if you're sitting here looking at it, I mean, they have a chance. The only disparity I see that's big enough of a gap is the free throw disparity. 76.2% from the line for the Spurs versus 82% for the Knicks. This is where, when we were talking about it yesterday, where you need to employ Hack-a-Mitch. To me, we know Greg Popovich. Like I said, Greg is one of those guys that does not care how you feel about how that game went. When he was coaching the Spurs against my team, the Clippers, back in the day, I think that was 2012, and it's a 7-game series, he employed hack a DeAndre Jordan every single game for 7 games straight. They would walk DeAndre right up the court every single time we touched the ball. Wouldn't even allow Blake or Chris Paul to touch the ball. Mitch, this is a cry for help, brother. You've done a really good job with this team, but I want to see this team take a step forward. And to me, you got to do the unfavorable thing and do what you got to do to win. Hack a Mitch could be very helpful to this team. Call Greg. He'll tell you.
He only plays like 14 minutes. And
in them 14 minutes, I'm hacking a Mitch. Okay?
They're very short periods of time. He's out there. He grabs a couple rebounds. He's back on that bench.
I'm going right at that broken hand.
Oh, my God.
I want to see it at the free throw line.
Oh, man. Okay, so, I mean, game 4 tomorrow. We'll see what happens there. Obviously, every game is crucial at this point.
Do you have a prediction?
Oh, bro. I would love for the Spurs to get this. I know we started when this series, game 1, and we were like, we don't care who wins. Like both teams. I'd be happy for both teams. As this series has gone on, I've had to have a come to Jesus moment with myself and just admit I'm really rooting for the Spurs. So I would like to see a game 2, but no Wemby turnover and a Spurs win. I would like to see a game 3, 40-minute dominant Wemby performance, great game from Stephon Castle. I would like to see that continue. And I would like to see them get 3 more.
Wemby, please remember, for the love of God, that you're 7'4", and you don't have to be KD.
He's taller than 7'4".
7'6". You're 8 foot.
Right.
You don't have to be KD.
We're just rounded.
You can be Shaq, and that's okay. It worked, bro.
Yeah.
Get down in that paint and work.
Mm-hmm.
And don't be afraid to play 40 minutes. You're here now.
Yep.
I understand last series, but we're here now. Mm-hmm. It's time to play 40 minutes. You're as young as you're going to be. Let's go ahead and get this chip while we're here, because a lot of teams don't get a chance to come back.
Mm-hmm.
We've seen it a lot where teams, they get there and you say, they're young, they can do it again.
Yeah. We
just saw the Pacers, who made it to the finals, and granted it's a different set of circumstances, and they weren't as young as this team, but they didn't even sniff the playoffs this year.
I mean, they blew it up.
They blew it up, but they didn't. I mean, they just gave up because they were tanking for a pick, and now we don't even know if they're going to be able to come back.
Yeah.
With all the things that this team is dealing with now, I mean, that window is closed. It could be. It looks like.
Yeah. So
please, for the Spurs, for me, my prediction is. Let me say something real quick.
Oh, gosh.
Josh Hart, you're making this insufferable to watch. Like, I cannot deal with you flopping, complaining, bulldozing people like you're prime Lou Dort. I don't know what's gotten into you, bro. And I know that this is your game, being a hustler and all that. I loved you when you were on the Lakers. Mm-hmm. When you were on my Lakers team, that's my second team.
My Lakers team.
When you were on my Lakers team,
Jesus.
I wish that we would have kept you to play with Bron. But, you had to go for AD. A-differous. But at the same time, Josh, you are killing me with this, man. Like, you're ruining these games with your tantrums. Just go out there and hoop, bro. Go out there and hoop. But I know you're not going to do it. So, do whatever you want to do. But you keep this up, I'm going to be quickly leaning towards Spurs in 7. Right now, I got it as Knicks in 6. But I'm hoping for Spurs in 7.
Before we switch topics, can I just say you just said prime Lou Dort? That is actually crazy. We're giving Lou Dort a prime.
That was when Lou Dort was making threes still. Hey, Lou, time to retire that shot, brother.
Woo! Okay. Switching gears to the hot mess that is the NCAA and the Texas Tech Red Raiders football team.
Lord have mercy.
Let me set the scene. If you haven't been keeping up with what's going on with their quarterback, Brendan Sorsby, let me catch you up. So Texas Tech, they made it to the college football playoffs last year, got stomped by Oregon, but won their very first Big 12 championship Things were looking up. They were excited. Paid $5 million to Brendan Sorsby to come over from Cincinnati to be their new quarterback.
Terrible decision.
Paid him $5 million.
Real money.
He gets there, and the NCAA rules him permanently ineligible because he admitted to placing thousands of bets over the course of his 4-year college career, including bets against his own team, Indiana, when he was a redshirt freshman. So, instead of going with that, licking their chops, they just spent $5 million, right? So they go to the court system. A local Texas judge has now granted Brendan an injunction that allows him to play this season, this 2026 year. There's a couple caveats. He has to miss the first 2 games, but he'll be back for the Big 12 opener. 2 games, 1,000 bets. And this case has so many layers, okay? There is a hearing date set for Brendan versus the NCAA, but get this. It's not till February. It's February 8th to be exact, 2 weeks.
They made sure to give that boy some time to play.
2 weeks after the college football championship. He'll be getting ready for the NFL Combine at that point. His case is that the NCAA essentially didn't follow their own rules because he has said he is dealing with a major gambling addiction. The judge granted him this injunction. The NCAA immediately appealed it. The other layer to this, the 4 justices listening to this appeal, can you take a guess where they went to school? Texas Tech. So essentially, I say that to say Brendan will be playing this year. And it's up to the Big 12 commissioner. I mean, we're all looking at him to see what he's going to do. What penalties are you going to impose? I mean, it's unacceptable. You've already got Nebraska and Georgia refusing to schedule Texas Tech as part of their non-conference. Yeah. You've got Big 12 teams saying, we're not going to play them. Their own conference members are saying, we are not going to play them.
Why would you?
What are you going to do as the commissioner of the Big 12? And why can't the NCAA control its household? For years, what are we going on, a decade? It's just been consistent court cases, always in the courts, always battling something. NIL is a mess. The transfer portal is a mess. The NCAA is just dealing with the blackest of black eyes, and I just don't know how you recover.
I think that it's going to be tough for them to get this under control. I think, number one, one of the first things they need to do is impose a contract of some sort that when you sign your letter to play for these teams for money, because that's the only way you can do it is for money. It's not just if you play for free, but when you play for these teams on an NIL deal, you now are subject to our litigation process. Because what's happening is these players are getting away with it because it's a school and it's based in a state. And we're going off of the state rules per area versus a set of rules for the league. Yeah. This is a college football league. And the players get away with a lot of stuff, and coaches too. It's not just players. Coaches get away. They were paying people under the table for centuries. Yeah. Okay. And, not in a literal sense, but Nick Saban, if you think that he got every single recruit because he was a well-spoken man.
Or a great coach.
That man was going to the deepest, darkest depths of the hood and bringing these players out. And all of a sudden, these guys are driving Lambos in their sophomore year playing for Alabama. I mean, come on, So this is going to be something that they're going to have to fight. I understand why teams don't want to play them. Yeah. I understand why schools are saying they don't want to play them. Here's the only other part that I have to this, though. In the grand scheme is it going to matter? We're not talking about Andrew Luck. We're not talking about USC Matt Barkley. We're not talking about RG3 at Baylor.
Mm-hmm.
We're talking about Sorsby.
Yeah.
Who sucks. And Texas Tech ain't never did nothing anyway.
They just made it to the playoffs.
Well, this is what I'm going to say, though. I'm going to tell you what's going to happen. This commissioner, because of litigation, he's not going to want to get caught up in this. So the commissioner is probably going to set a set of fines towards the school. Mm-hmm. I imagine their NIL will decrease. Mm-hmm. You know, something of that nature. They may lose recruitments or something like that. But what's going to happen is the players are going to take justice into their own hands. If you don't think that there's going to be some sort of bounty out on this guy, because it's a disrespect to the league. Mm-hmm. It's a disrespect to the game of football. It's not just players looking at it like, oh, he's just gambling. He bet it against his own team.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying that to say that I know this for sure, but just guys that have been in the locker room before, we all know when you're going up against a guy that's cocky and they're playing without pride, naturally players start to say, okay, I got you. This next hit is for you. You know, like that's just kind of what happens, unfortunately. Mm-hmm. And I'm not saying that it's acceptable. I don't want that to happen to them. But some players take it personal when you don't respect the game. Mm-hmm. And if the NCAA isn't going to do anything about it, these players will step on that field, the ones that are willing to play Texas Tech, and they'll do something about it, unfortunately.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure they'll want to make a statement. I think the NCAA, I don't know how you fix this. The league is so far gone. On Get Up this morning, Paul Feinbaum, and if you don't know Paul Feinbaum, he is a hoot and a holler. He covers college football, and he's very opinionated, but he's going to tell it like it is most of the time. And he just mentioned that the NCAA has lost its soul, lost its integrity. There's no direction. There's a lot of things that's done in college athletics that, like you said, are swept under the table. Mm-hmm. But betting, that should be the cardinal sin. You know, that is the entire integrity of college sports. And this young man admitted to betting thousands of times. Mm-hmm. We can't just allow this to go unpunished. So
I also wonder if they can't get involved with the draft process somehow, some way. Also, we've seen this, even if he has a great season, we have seen teams literally before in the NFL say, we didn't like what you did in college. Mm-hmm. You're going to fall to the 6th round.
Yeah.
We just went through this with Shedeur. Mm-hmm. And granted, it was a different set of circumstances, and everybody has their opinion on how that went. To me, we have seen this before.
Yeah.
Where, okay, you aren't doing right by the game of football. Mm-hmm. And I don't want that in my organization. Because if you're betting now in college against us, what are you going to be doing once you're making $30 million a season?
Right.
Those bets are just going to go up higher. And it's going to be against your team that may already be 2-15. Mm-hmm. That you got drafted to.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So it's a mess. Texas Tech, y'all got a lot going on right now. Because this ain't y'all's only problem. Y'all got problems in women's softball. y'all got to get it together. This is why Pat don't talk to y'all.
Okay. Just to kind of put a bow on that, one of the caveats that the judge included in this injunction is that Brendan does have to go to addiction counseling for his gambling addiction, and don't want to make light at all of him having a gambling addiction that is real. There's a lot of people who are battling that, but in the scheme of college football and the integrity and the NCAA already permanently banning him and him kind of backdooring that via the judge's ruling, I mean, something's just got to be done.
Yeah. NCAA, for lack of a better word, it's time to grow some balls. And Maybe give Adam Silver a call.
Or not.
You know,
because he would.
However you feel about the job he's doing in the NBA, he's definitely not afraid to institute some changes. So, I don't know. They're gonna have to fix this though, and give these players back from the past back their stuff, i.e., Reggie.
They gave Reggie back his.
Well, fix it. Have a ceremony again. It's time to you need to smooth over all this stuff from the past on top of this.
Right.
While you implement these new rules, go back and address the mistakes that you made as a college football league to other players in the past, because it's disrespectful to allow stuff like this to happen now. And we've seen players prior to this get hit way harder than the fight that you supposedly put up this time.
Yeah. It's almost like they opened Pandora's box with NIL, the transfer portal, and they don't know how to fix it.
Yeah. It's a mess, and I really hope they get it together, because these teams are just shelling out cash.
Yeah, they are.
And there's no way to rein it in. I mean, I don't have any problem with you paying a college coach $20 million, but then you're paying players $7 million a pop. Are we gonna get a cap? Is this gonna be like baseball? Is this the highest bidder? I mean, where's the money coming from?
The benefactors, the NIL pools. That's why you have the teams like the Bamas and the Georgias who have these billionaires behind them that are funding the NIL collective, and they're able to get these kids.
Yeah.
These 5 stars, these 4 stars. They're literally paying for them.
Because you wouldn't have a Lane Kiffin leave an Ole Miss if it wasn't for NIL. Correct. That's the only reason he left.
LSU has a bigger NIL backing, and he's going to be able to go out and get the kids he wants because he's going to throw the bag at them.
He's going to be able to literally buy them.
Yep.
So, yeah, it's time. NCAA, if you need some ideas, give us a call. We're in the business of consultation also. So,
absolutely.
We just want to see it get better, because this is terrible. This is a mess.
Yeah. Okay, switch us over to NFL offseason. It's been a busy one already.
It has been a busy one.
So let's dive into that.
Let's start out in the AFC East. So I'm just going to briefly go through some of the moves that were made, some of the bigger moves. It won't be every single move, but moves I think that impact the teams, and where we see the offseason as it's held up right now. Also, the remaining free agents and the predictions for where they may land as time goes forward. A lot of players are going to be waiting for mini camps to be over with. There's a lot of players that just don't want to go through the gruel of a mini camp and OTAs and all that. So, kind of seeing where they're going to land, the outlook of some of these teams. Are they still contenders? Are we, how are we looking overall? So we'll start out in the AFC East with the Buffalo Bills. Well, one of their bigger moves was acquiring DJ Moore. They were able to bring back their vet and Dawson Knox at tight end. They brought in a lot of offensive line help. Austin Corbett, Lloyd Cushenberry, Connor McGovern. They ended up bringing in Bradley Chubb and Mike Dana on the edges for their defense. They brought in C.J. Gardner-Johnson and Geno Stone in the safety room. And, of course, their stalwart DeMar Hamlin returns for another season.
Enough.
So, with that team, just kind of briefly, how do you feel about the moves that they've made? They also brought in a new head coach. Is it
Joe Brady?
Joe Brady, yeah. Joe Brady, who was a touted offensive coordinator in the league for a long time. If you really know much about him, he was touted all the way back at LSU when he was the offensive coordinator for Joe Burrow, I believe, which is what got him into the NFL as the offensive coordinator for the Panthers, and then so on and so forth. And then now he's ended up with the Bills as the offensive coordinator last season. and then gets the promotion to head coach as Sean McDermott was ousted.
Mm-hmm.
So how do we feel about the Bills this season? They're running a lot of the same team back, but a little bit of new pieces there.
Yeah, I don't feel like, sorry, excuse me. I don't feel like any of their moves move the needle. I think it'll be a very similar team. I mean, CJ Gardner-Johnson, that's your biggest splash. We've got some things to talk about.
Wow.
I think it'll be an adjustment with a new head coach.
Yeah.
Feel how you do about Sean McDermott. He had a system. He had a culture built there. They've been knocking on the door consistently. It'll be a change. So, I don't think that they move the needle much. I think it'll be kind of a similar team to what we saw last year. Probably a few more kinks with the new head coach, but we'll see.
Yeah, kind of surprised Sean didn't land anywhere.
Yeah.
Not even on a staff as a D coordinator or anything, but more props to you, Sean. If you're going to wait it out, next season, you probably got a better chance. So,
yep.
I kind of agree. Bills I don't think they're going to change a lot. Offensively, they may be a little better because they're bringing in a wide receiver 1, but it depends on how you feel about DJ Moore.
Yeah, is he much of a 1?
I mean, he wasn't much of a 1 in Chicago.
Correct.
He was kind of a 1 in Carolina. So, we'll see. I don't know if this is going to be the same team, but I expect a lot of frustration on those sidelines. Moving on, we got the Miami Dolphins next. There's really not a lot of notable things going on with this team. They're in the middle of a rebuild, but they did shell out a bunch of money to Devon Achane. They did give Malik Willis a decent amount of money. I believe it was about $22 million a season. Obviously, they're in a rebuild. They do have a new head coach. I believe that was... Mike LaFleur went to the Cardinals. So they got the D coordinator, Jeff Hafley, from the Packers. I believe he was the D coordinator there.
Yep.
Kind of interesting Malik chose to go there over the Cardinals because I heard those were the last 2 teams he was looking at. But regardless, they're going to kind of blow it up and do their thing and keep moving. Did you have anything to add to this at all?
Not really. I was sad that is going to be Malik's first opportunity to really be a starting
disgusting
quarterback.
Disgusting.
He probably went to Miami. He's from Georgia, so probably felt a little more like home than Arizona.
I mean, probably, but the team in Arizona would have been so much better for you to work with, Malik. But I hope that I think they had better prospects out there, but I hope that you're happy down there. He seemed very happy when he was talking to Pat McAfee. So go Fins, man. Go Fins.
That's crazy.
Moving on to the Patriots. They had a pretty decent offseason. Obviously, the bigger move was bringing in A.J. Brown here recently with the trade with the Eagles. They gave up a 2028 first-rounder and a 2027 fifth-rounder. They also brought in Romeo Doubs. They brought in some offensive line help with Elijah Vera Tucker, who is a very good interior lineman. They also brought in some defensive help with Draymond Jones and Kevin Byard being the 2 notable names on that side of the ball. How do we feel about the Patriots going into this season?
I think they'll have a good team. Like we talked about in our initial episode, that schedule is rough and tough. Yeah. So I don't know if I see them getting back. I think they'll be formidable. I think they'll have a good team. I think they'll make the playoffs, but getting all the way back, I'll have to see them on the field first.
Yeah, Freaky Mike, hey, lock in this year.
All right. Stop calling that man that.
That's his new nickname until we get all this sorted out, since you don't want to admit to nothing.
It's sorted. He admitted it. He's in therapy. Couples therapy.
I don't know if he admitted it though. But moving on to the Jets, we want to keep moving along here. Obviously, they're another team that's rebuilding, but they did do a lot this offseason. They brought in Geno Smith as their new quarterback, regardless of how you feel about that.
Whoop.
They gave Breece Hall a good amount of money, 3 years, $45 million. They brought in Jelani Woods. They brought in Tim Patrick at wide receiver. They gave some money out to some older guys on the defensive line. David Onyemata from the Falcons. Joseph Asai. Demario Davis comes over from the Saints. And they brought in Minka Fitzpatrick. So they also brought in my favorite kicker. Can I say it?
Nope.
Anyways, Young Hoku gets brought in also. So obviously the Jets are rebuilding. Not a whole lot to say about them, but they did bring in some of your favorite names from 2007. So good luck to the Jets this season. I hope you keep your job, brother. That's about all I can say, because this is crazy. I don't know what year this team is in, but anyway, moving on to the AFC North. We got the Ravens here. They haven't done a lot, so we'll be kind of quick on this. They bring back Tyler Huntley. They bring in Trey Hendrickson after the deal with Max Crosby fell through, as everybody knows. They also bring in Calais Campbell, who has said this is his last season.
It should be.
Yeah, it's been 20 years, brother. Good for you.
Right.
They bring back Awuzie. They brought in Jalen Hawkins and Kevon Wallace. So, how do we feel about the Ravens this season? They have a brand new head coach also, Jesse Minter, who is the D coordinator from from my team, the Michigan Wolverines. And then he was also the D coordinator for Jim with the Chargers. So how do we feel about this team adapting a defensive mindset?
Oof, blessed. I mean, their defense last year was terrible. There's a lot of things that were terrible last year. Offense didn't look right. Lamar didn't look right. I know he was battling injury left, right, and center, but they just didn't look right in general. I'm going to tell you the truth. I was tired of John.
Yeah.
It was time to make that shakeup. He had been there too long, running the same program.
Yeah.
You know, the rumors are him and Lamar had started to butt heads. Their direction was obviously different from one another. So, I don't know. I want them to have a good season. Of course, I am a Lamar supporter. Love Derrick Henry. I would love to see them get over that hump and actually do something this year.
Sorry, I took a deep breath because the John Harbaugh circus, it's like in full effect right now. And we'll get to that. But John is he was a special teams coach. And he is not a guy that has a side of the ball that he specializes at. And I think that is one of the reasons why the Ravens have struggled over the years. Now, Jesse Minter is not an offensive guy. I would have loved to see an offensive guy go to Baltimore. But hopefully he's hired some really good coordinators that know what they're doing. And really the only thing they need to do, and we'll address this once we get to free agency, is they need a wide receiver.
Yeah.
And not just a guy. You might need to bring in two guys or a guy that's really good. Yeah. So,
what's your beef with Zay Flowers?
Let's move on.
Sorry.
Moving on to the Cincinnati Bengals. They bring back Big Flacco. They brought in the Big Brr. They brought in the long timer Josh Johnson. Good for you keeping that career going, brother. Defensively, it doesn't look like much, but they brought in Boye Mafe, who came right off of the Super Bowl and got himself a contract, 3 years, $60 million. He's a really good edge. He's kind of underrated and lost under the shuffle, but I hope that he gets a chance to stand out. They have Dexter Lawrence that they brought in from the Giants. Very controversial move that they made. Yeah. That was their 2026 draft pick. So the number 10 overall pick, if nobody knows, went to the Giants for Dexter Lawrence. So then they brought in Jonathan Allen, who I think is another underrated signing. 2 years, $26 million, coming from your team, the Vikings.
It's cool.
And then they also brought in, I think these were really good deals, Brian Cook at safety, young guy. He played well for the Chiefs. I think he had some injury issues, but they lock him up on a very decent deal, 3 years, $40 million. And Kyle Duggar on a 1-year deal, who's, I think he's about 28 now, but he still plays really well at the safety position. So how do we feel about the Bengals?
I like the Bengals. I like their team. Obviously, they still got their two stars on the outside, Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. You've still got Big Burn. The only thing about the Bengals is that darn head coach.
Yeah.
I feel like you could hand me the clipboard and I'd probably do better than Zach Taylor.
Well, that's the old adage about coordinators coming from the Rams. He was our offensive coordinator, I believe, for a season.
Mm-hmm.
And he got the job out in Cincy. And much like KOC, much like Raheem Morris, much like a lot of guys that leave from us and head out, they struggle because they're really good coordinators and they're not really good coaches.
Mm-hmm.
So, I don't know. This is probably Zach's last year. This seems like this is this whole team's last hurrah.
Absolutely.
Joe freed up $10 million in cap space today.
Yep.
So, this is it. I think this is the curtain call on this team.
I mean, this is honestly the best opportunity they have. You have Patrick in the Chiefs being a little compromised. Travis is old. Patrick is coming off an injury.
Mm-hmm.
Rashee Rice and all of his situations. I mean, they've got a lot to work on over there. You've got Lamar and the Ravens, whole new coaching staff. Not really sure what that's going to look like. Same with the Bills. The Bengals kept it pretty consistent.
Yeah.
So if this is as good a time as any to put it together and get over that hump.
Yeah, I think this is the time to go all in. And I like the moves that they made this offseason. I think they can do a couple of more odd-end moves to solidify. You may look at bringing back a guy like Joe Mixon, which we'll get to later, but I think that there's a few things that they can do to kind of solidify this team a little bit better and move on.
Yeah.
Moving on to the Cleveland Browns, we have a lot of offensive line moves. They brought in Elgden Jenkins. Sorry if I got your name wrong, brother. He signed a 2-year, $24 million deal. He is arguably one of the better centers in our league right now in today's game. Zion Johnson, they also brought in. I believe he came from the Chargers. He signed a 3-year deal, about $50 million. They brought back Tevin Jenkins. They acquired Titus Howard through trade. These are all offensive linemen. Obviously, the big trade that they made was trading Myles Garrett away for Jared Verse. Sorry, JV8. But welcome to Cleveland. And then, of course, they brought in Quincy Williams on the defensive side and a couple other guys that have been in the league for a little while. They have the quarterback battle going on with Shador and Deshaun. Are we expecting much from the Browns this year? Or are they kind of, rebuild?
I'm expecting the show.
Yeah.
I'm not expecting wins. I'm expecting the show.
Todd's putting on a show for you right now.
Yep.
Okay. Todd is an interesting head coach choice, but good for you guys. Go Browns. Dog pound.
Right.
Dog pound. The Steelers, moving on to the Steelers. So they bring it back Aaron Rodgers. They gave him more money for some reason.
Ugh.
Lord help us. It's his last season, so.
He didn't say that.
That's what he said.
Mm-hmm. He's lying. He'll be back.
That's what he said, I think a month ago. So we'll see. They also brought in Michael Pittman. Regardless of how you feel about Aaron Rodgers, I liked their offseason a lot. They brought in Michael Pittman in a trade with the Colts. They didn't give up anything, really. They gave up a 7th rounder and a 6th rounder. So it's kind of like a salary dump for the Colts because they're going to want to sign some of their young guys. They re-signed Darnell Washington, big tight end out of Georgia. Cam Hayward gets a new deal, so he's staying. They brought in Sebastian Joseph Day. A lot of smaller moves, but they re-signed a lot of their guys. They also brought in Jamel Dean. They also brought in Jaquan Brisker. They signed Darnell Savage. So defensively, like they always do, they're looking amazing defensively. Offensively, they get a number 2 receiver next to DK. Michael Pittman is going to take a lot of stress off of DK.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that tandem and the tight end room that they have right now with Freiermuth and Darnell Washington, if that line can hold up, they've got a really good team, depending on how you feel about Aaron Rodgers. Well, they got sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. Mike McCarthy is also their new head coach. So, Big Mike.
That's all I was going to say. Aaron, he's excited to be back with Big Mike. They ended their relationship in Green Bay kind of rough. I didn't think we would see this, but it sounds like they've mended fences and they're doing better, and they're both excited to be there with each other. So it'll be weird not to see Mike T on that sideline, but
yeah, kind of sad, Mike T.
Very sad.
Come back one day.
Come back to us. We'll be ready once we get KOC up out of here.
Hey, if you want to be a D coordinator on the best defense ever, come out of retirement. And we'll call Aaron out of retirement.
Moving on.
Moving on to the AFC South. We have the Texans. One of their bigger moves was getting David Montgomery as their new starting running back. They said this week that he will be the bell cow. They said they have their own Sonic and Knuckles with him and Will Marks, so we'll see how that goes. They bring back Dalton Schultz. They also redid their offensive line. They did a lot, to their offensive line. Bringing in Braden Smith, bringing in Trent Brown, bringing in Evan Brown, and also bringing back Ed Ingram. They also brought in Wyatt Teller from the Browns. These are all roughly about 1 to 2 year deals for a lot of these guys. They gave big money to Will Anderson. They brought back Danielle Hunter on a big deal. Good for you, Danielle. $40 million for 1 season.
We would have never gave him that.
Never, ever. They brought back Aziz Ashir. They really re-signed a lot of this team, and then they redid that offensive line. Do we have any expectation from the Texans this year? Do they get over the hump?
CJ cut his hair off, so you know what that means.
He grew that terrible beard out. So
it's go time. No, I don't have a lot of expectations. I'm expecting that defense to be solid, as it typically is. I mean, you've got so much money tied up in it, it better be. But CJ really, he left a bad taste in a lot of folks' mouths, so it'll be interesting to see what he comes out and does. It was a hard watch last year.
Yeah, I think this is also a curtain call for this whole team. Mm-hmm. They're in a situation much like the Bengals with less success, where they're going to have to take a very big step forward here this season. And if they don't, everybody's probably gone.
Yeah.
Because you got to pay too many guys, and they have given this team a lot of chances, more chances than I thought that they would with D'Amico Ryans and C.J. Stroud at the helm. So, moving on to the Colts. Daniel Jones got a ridiculous deal. 2 years, $88 million. I kind of almost forgot about this. This is insane. Basically, his deal was 2 years, $100 million, $88 million guaranteed. Alec Pierce, they were able to keep on a 4-year deal, also $100 and something million. They didn't do a whole lot in free agency, a lot of smaller moves, but overall, I think they're running back the same team. They did end up losing Kenny Moore, who they granted a release to. So, their first overall pick in the next 2 drafts, Sauce Gardner, it's going to be time to play like 2 first-round picks, man. He had a rough stretch when you came in, so they're going to be expecting a lot out of him now. Any expectations for the Colts?
Not really.
I got 8 and 9. And obviously Anthony Richardson has requested a trade, but Anthony, hey, sometimes we got to look in the mirror and see who we are.
Healed?
He says it's healed. Yeah, go ahead and get your trade on down to Miami. They ain't got nothing going on. Go throw the 2-2 Atwell.
Malik.
Sorry, Malik.
Jeez.
Sorry.
Continue.
Malik. I forgot. Moving on to the Jacksonville Jaguars. They had a rough offseason. They didn't do much of nothing. They actually were one of the teams for up until recently, we're one of the only teams that didn't make a move.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of re-signing and a lot of letting guys walk.
Mm-hmm.
So they let Travis Etienne go for nothing. They also were supposedly in on A.J. Brown, then they pulled out, then they were in, then they were out. They moved Travis Hunter to corner. That's about the most notable thing that they've done this offseason. The only other things that they have done was give Trayvon Walker a big extension of $110 million. They brought in a bunch of running backs that haven't really started before, and some smaller defensive moves. Unfortunately, I'm going to say that they're going to regress a lot this season.
Yeah. I think they vastly outperformed any standards anyone had for them last year.
And they kind of undersold the good job that they did last season. They kind of just was like, oh, we'll be okay. Mm-hmm. They're going with the running back by committee approach, which we'll see. And hopefully Travis is better at corner than he is at wide receiver, which I think he was when he was in college, but
yeah,
we'll see. Moving on to the Titans, they have done a lot, so bear with me. I'm not going to go through everything, but a lot of the bigger moves that they made was bringing in Wan'Dale Robinson at a discount deal. 4 years, $78 million, $38 million guaranteed. That is a great deal for a really good slot receiver. They also brought in some offensive line help. Not any notable names, but they're pretty decent. They brought in Jermaine Johnson in that trade with the Jets, where they shipped out T'Vondre Sweat for Jermaine Johnson. He's going to be their starting edge next to Jacob Martin. They'll add him to that line with Justin Simmons. They also bring in John Franklin Myers. They bring back Solomon Thomas, who just can't stay away from their head coach. I'm drawing a blank. What's his name? Robert Saleh. They also brought in Cordell Flott and Alante Taylor, both 3-year deals. They're both roughly worth around the $40 to $30 million mark. And then they bring in some decent safeties and another corner in Joshua Williams from KC. So how do we feel about this Titans team going into the season with Robert Saleh at the helm? Any expectations?
I hope they do well.
I'm rooting for them.
I'm rooting for them. I mean, I really like Cam, so I'd like to see them do well. They have stability, I feel like, at the head coaching position. It's Robert Saleh now, so let's not get too excited. But yeah. I do feel like that gives them stability, and I don't know. I'm looking forward to watching.
Yeah, I'm excited about this team. I hope that they take a step forward. I really would have loved if they were able to get their running back in the draft, but they ended up with Carnell Tate, which is not a bad option. The guy is playing like a number one receiver right now in training camp. And so, he was a guy who was touted as a number 2, but that's because he wasn't the best receiver on the team. Mm-hmm. But he's saying, don't get it twisted, I might have been the best receiver in college. So we'll see how they do. Moving on to the AFC West, we're going to briefly go through the Broncos. They didn't do a lot either. Their big acquisition was Jalen Waddle. And then they re-signed J.K. Dobbins. Not much else really notable to talk about there. Any expectations for this team with Bo Nix coming off the injury?
I don't know. I think Bo Nix, if you could have added a week or 2 into the postseason, I think he would have been ready to go, and I think they get there instead of the Pats. So...
controversial take. Do they win the Super Bowl over the Seahawks?
I would lean yes.
Yeah. I'm on the hill, and I might be by myself of saying that Broncos defense would have destroyed Sam Darnold.
Absolutely.
So hey Sam, you got your one. Get out of the way.
Oh, brother.
Moving on to the Chiefs. We know we got a lot of Chiefs fans out there and Cowboys fans, so we'll kind of go over this, but I I'll kind of tie in some free agency stuff here because we don't want to go too long here. They brought in Kenneth Walker on a really reasonable deal, 3 years, worth up to $45 million. It's only $28 million guaranteed. They bring back Travis Kelce, as who you mentioned earlier. They also brought in Alohi Gilman, really decent safety, and today they brought back L'Jarius Sneed for 1 year, $5 million. Obviously, I have Tyreek tied to them. I feel like it's going to be a homecoming. If not, I mean, as this team looks right now, any expectations from them this season?
They're pushing really hard to get Patrick ready and available week 1. Micah had the same exact injury on the same exact day, Micah Parsons, and he is not expected to play until week 4 or 5.
Yeah.
So it's a bit concerning that that Patrick is rushing himself to be back by week 1. Hopefully he's actually ready to go. I don't really have any expectations. I mean,
if you're Justin Fields, who I did not mention, by the way, they acquired him in a trade. Do you take this personally? I mean, what did you guys bring me in for unless you're going to give me the Taysom Hill package?
He knew what was going on. That is Patrick Mahomes' team, up, down, right, and left. Yeah. You're not coming in to do anything. At the very least, you're playing 1 or 2 weeks while he's coming back. And if he needs a break, because they're just blowing somebody else out. Like, he shouldn't have expected to have any sort of prominent time.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know, Chiefs. I'm kind of sensing another 8-9, 9-8 season for y'all. I think we've had the swan song with y'all. Unless you can get some really good help via free agency or trade, I think it might be getting close to the end also. At least until a revamp.
Right.
Moving on to the Raiders, they had a lot going on this offseason. We're not going to get into all of it. I'm just going to get into kind of some of the notable things that they've done. They brought in Quay Walker and Nakobe Dean, 2 of Georgia's finest. They brought in Kwity Paye. And then, of course, they drafted Mendoza. They brought in Kirk Cousins, brand new head coach. Why can I not remember these coaches' names? He came out of Seattle, and he was their offensive coordinator also. But regardless, this team, very young. They brought in Jalen Naylor also.
Clint Kubiak's the head coach.
Clint Kubiak, that's right. Gary's son. How you doing, Gary? So, obviously, they're going to be a team that's kind of trying to put it all together. Do we see Mendoza starting this season? Do we have any expectations?
I think they want to usher Mendoza in. They brought Kirk in. They've kind of had the constant thought process of we're going to give Kirk a couple games, maybe 3, 4, 5, and then put Mendoza out there. They want to give him the opportunity to learn behind Kirk, which is so funny that we're here because Kirk Cousins left the Minnesota Vikings, which if you don't know, you will know. That is my team. Because we told him we were drafting J.J. McCarthy, and he didn't want to be in a QB battle.
Right.
So then he goes to the Falcons. Unbeknownst to him, the same situation was about to happen. They drafted Michael Penix. They battled back and forth. He had to eventually accept that backup role, and now he's happy to be a vet.
Yeah, and shout out to you, Kirk, for making another $20 million off of a squad.
His agent is robbing these people.
Whoever your agent is, give us a call. We might need you once we take off.
Absolutely.
You're giving Rich Paul a run for his money, bro. Yeah, kind of similar sentiments there. I think Kirko's going to be playing like he wants to play forever, so he's going to be playing his tail off as much as he can.
Yeah.
And it's kind of weird. Him and Mendoza are like the same person. It's a little weird.
Did you see that Step Brothers photo shoot?
I don't like it. Not a big Mendoza fan, but I'm rooting for you, man. If you can play well, do well, man. I kind of caught on late, and I'm not sure what I'm looking at. So we'll see. We'll see how that goes. Moving on to the Chargers, I feel like they're in a similar position with the Bengals and the Texans. They also brought back a lot of the same people. Not really any notable acquisitions for them besides David Njoku and Keaton Mitchell from the Ravens, unless you're a Trey Lance fan. Crickets? Okay. But, I mean, obviously, Keenan Allen awaits in free agency if you want to bring him back. I really think that they're in the same spot as those other teams. And the Ravens are kind of in there also, but not with the head coach, just more of like the team itself having to make some really hard decisions. I think the Chargers are in the same spot because how many other things can you change about this team?
Yeah.
They gave Derwin James a bunch of money. He's now the highest paid safety in the league, I believe. I don't really know what else you can change for this team besides maybe go out and trade for a number one receiver and maybe that changes something. But I think this team has kind of reached its ceiling if you can't take a step forward this offseason.
Yeah.
So, any expectations out of them? I know they had a good year last year. It's just Justin kind of fell apart. He got hurt. It wasn't really his fault, but he's had the same problems Joe has had with the line.
Mm-hmm. I mean, he's always hurt. He's always dealing with some sort of ticky-tack little injury. And, I think they brought in Jim to fix it.
Yeah.
And they still had a very similar season to what they had before Jim was there. So they're another team where it's just kind of like, I don't really have an expectation because they just kind of are who they are.
Yeah. Yeah, interesting. I think they drafted an offensive lineman too. I could be wrong. But, everybody will be healthy for them for once this season. They'll have Joe Alt back. They'll have their left tackle back, Rashawn Slater, I believe. So, I think this will be a team that'll be healthy for once. Moving on to the NFC East, Dallas Cowboys. We've got them retaining George Pickens on a franchise tag. They brought in Rashawn Gary. They brought in Dee Winters. They brought in Kobe Durant from the Rams. They brought in Jalen Thompson. These are all really good moves. And then, of course, the safety that they picked up in the draft, Caleb Downs. So, any feelings on the Cowboys?
It'll be interesting to see this George Pickens saga. I mean, I know they signed him on the franchise tag, but he didn't report to voluntary OTAs, and their head coach was saying today, I'm not really sure if he's coming to mandatory OTAs. So
one thing about Matt is he don't pull no punches. So Matt Eberflus, he's an interesting head coach. I kind of like him, but this team, they're another team that's at their ceiling. They did take a big step forward with the addition of George Pickens, but now it's either time to pay him or move on. So
yeah. Ryan Schottenheimer.
What did I say? Matt Eberflus? Mm-hmm. Oh, Matt Eberflus was the defensive coordinator. Also terrible head coach. Sorry, Matt.
That's a crazy stray.
Good luck at the Giants. Moving on to the Giants, the circus itself. John Harbaugh's new team. They've done a lot. I don't like their moves very much, but they've done a lot. John came to the team and said he wants competition, and that's what he's done. He brought in like 18 wide receivers this past couple of weeks. Notable names for their offseason would be Calvin Austin. If you know, he was the deep guy for Pittsburgh. Odell obviously came back. They brought in Darnell Mooney. They brought in Juju. Isaiah Likely gets a 4-year deal from them. They brought in some offensive line help with Lucas Patras. They re-signed Evan Neal. They re-signed Jermaine Luminor. They also brought in Daniel Falali. Sorry, Daniel. And then defensively, obviously, they got off of Sexy Dexy. Don't like saying that. Probably won't say that again. They also brought in Shelby Harris, DJ Reader, Tremaine Edmonds, Greg Newsome at corner, Adarius Washington from the Ravens, Jason Saunders at kicker, and a host and a bevy of other names. So, how do we feel about the Giants? They've got injuries that they're dealing with, and Their quarterback and their D linemen are beefing, and Abdul Carter just came off the field the other day with an injury.
I've got no thoughts on the Giants. Scroll on through.
Yeah, get that turf removed, guys. I mean, this is terrible. The Eagles. Moving on to the Eagles. Obviously, they lost AJ Brown, but they did gain a first rounder and a fifth rounder. Their new number one receiver is Devonta Smith. They also drafted Mekhi Lemon to be their second wide receiver. They brought in Marquise Brown to be the third wide receiver, Elijah Moore, Devontae Wicks they traded for from the Packers. They brought in Andy Dalton to back up Jalen if he has any problems or struggles. They brought in Damian Pierce at running back. They also got Jonathan Grenard from your Vikings.
Mm-hmm.
They gave Jordan Davis a big amount of money, $78 million. They brought in Arnold Ebikwe from the Falcons. And they also brought in Jonathan Jones, Marcus Epps, Tariq Woolen. Thoughts on the Eagles?
I think they should be good.
Yeah.
I'm expecting them to be good. Another new offensive coordinator that Jalen's going to have to learn from, but I'm expecting them to be good.
Yeah. I like the Eagles this year. I think they got spunk. Jalen, you're going to have to throw the ball, though.
Yeah.
Unless, like we were talking about the other day, unless they adapt that Mike McDonald offense where they decide we're just going to hand the ball off to our playmakers and let them do everything.
Yeah.
Which they very well could do with Jalen. He could be the right-handed Tua, so we'll see. But I do like the moves they made. It does keep them in contention and open up their window for a little while.
Yeah.
We got the Washington Commanders next in that division. Not a whole lot to talk about here. Not a lot of notable names. They did do a lot defensively, so I will touch on Odafe Owe getting 4 years, $100 million. Leo Chenal from the Chiefs getting a 3-year deal at $24 million. That's kind of a steal for his age. And then Angelico Witherspoon they got from us, the Rams. They brought in Nick Cross from the Colts. Not a whole lot that they've done. They did revamp their offensive line, and they did bring in Okonwo from the Titans at tight end. A lot of odd end receivers that they brought in. It looks like they're awaiting Brandon Ayuk. They've also been linked to Stephon Diggs, who I saw today may end up back in jail. So,
wow.
Any thoughts on the Commanders?
I'm hoping Jaden has a really good season. Last year was up and down, so
yeah.
I'll be interested to see what he looks like. Debo is out the doors, which he was really good for my fantasy team, so that makes me a little sad. But they'll be a little different looking on the outside. Obviously, they're keeping Scary Terry, but
yeah,
they'll be an interesting team to watch.
Yeah, interesting is the word I have for them. This is also kind of a make or break year for Dan Quinn.
Mm-hmm.
I would expect for him to be out after this year if they don't perform.
Yeah.
Moving on to the NFC North, we got the Chicago Bears. They had a quiet but different offseason. I didn't hate it. I didn't love it. They didn't do anything. They just lost a lot of people.
Mm.
But they were people that were making a lot of money. So they lose Tremont Edmonds. They also lose DJ Moore. But they did bring in Devin Bush at linebacker, which I like that pickup on a 3-year deal for $30 million. That's a really good steal. He had a really good season last season. They lose Jaquan Brisker. Yes, Jaquan Brisker and Kevin Byard. But they brought in Kobe Bryant from the Super Bowl Seahawks. And they brought in Elijah Hicks. A few other names that aren't like huge. They brought in Jedrick Willis. to the offensive line. Obviously, they're looking at Burton and saying it's time to take a step forward. Does this team return to glory this next season?
I won't have anything nice to say about any other NFC North team that's not the Vikings. And, Caleb is on the cover of Madden, so they're cursed.
Yeah, that Madden curse does it every single time. So, moving on to another team that did absolutely jack nothing. The Green Bay Packers, their big notable move is Tyrod Taylor. No, I'm joking. It's actually Javon Hargrave, but that's kind of sad when that's your big move. Javon Hargrave is 33 years old. Give him a break, please. They brought in Tyrod Taylor, Sky Moore, Javon Hargrave, Zaire Franklin, and Benjamin St. Juste. That is the 6 moves that they made.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. They also have a running back who may be going to jail.
They do.
It's time. It's time. Matt, it's time to go. Come on back to the Rams and be our D coordinator again, I guess.
Enough with the Rams.
No, listen. I mean, honestly, he's another one of the guys that came from us and has done nothing.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's just time. It's time to blow this team up. Micah, it looks like it's going to be out for 2 years. Let's take a break from contention. Moving on to the Vikings, your team.
Yep.
We got Kyler Murray as their big deal that they brought in on a 1-year vet minimum.
Let's make sure to be respectful throughout this segment here.
Wow.
Continue.
They also have Aaron Jones, who came back. They brought back Carson Wentz, regardless of how you feel about that.
Yuck.
Jawan Jennings comes in on a 1-year, $13 million deal. A lot of the moves that they made are re-signings. They also brought in Johnny Hecker and James Pierre. Johnny Hecker being a punter, James Pierre being a corner. They lost a lot. They lost Jonathan Grenard. They lost Javon Hargrave. They lost Jonathan Allen. That D-line is taking a big hit. The rest of the team is nearly the same.
Mm-hmm.
But hopefully your offensive line is healthy this season. What are your expectations for this team?
I'm expecting a good 9-8.
Yeah.
A good 9-8. I'm not a Vikings fan. That's going to be unrealistic. I mean, we've just got to tell the truth. We lost a lot of pieces, as you just mentioned, on defense. We have a lot of money tied up in the offensive line, and they can never stay healthy. We've got this wild quarterback competition going on. We're just in a state of uncertainty, so.
Yeah, I saw a report today that JJ came out and said that he's happy where he is, implying that he doesn't want to trade. Did not know that he was considering a trade. Who was trade? Never mind. Regardless, yeah, that's an interesting one. Good luck, Vikings.
All right.
It's time, guys. You guys are also long in the tooth. Sorry. Moving on to the NFC South. The Falcons, who get a brand new head coach, and Kevin Stefanski. They brought in Tua Tagovailoa, who will be competing with Michael Penix for the starting job. They brought in Brian Robinson to go next to Bijan Robinson. Drake London gets a big deal. They bring in Austin Hooper. Kyle Pitts gets the franchise tag, so he'll probably be gone next season.
Mm-hmm.
They brought in that menace, Jawan Taylor, at offensive tackle. A lot of decent defensive moves that they made. Not a lot of notable names. They're guys that matter to me, but may not matter to everybody else. So, looking at this Falcons team, what are we looking at here? What is this team exactly?
Their false starts are about to increase by 2,000% with that signing of Jawan Taylor. They're talented.
They do have talent.
They're talented. Do I have any faith in Kevin Stefanski?
No,
absolutely
not.
So I feel like it's a lot of talent that'll be squandered. I hope Bijan continues to have, a good season. He's obviously been super productive since he came into the league. I feel like there's a lot of talent sitting over there that they just won't know what to do with. That quarterback room, I'm not sure about that. But
Michael took off his do-rag for the first time this offseason, so we may have a new season on
for his wedding, no haircut.
Yeah, what an egregious thing to do. Mike, hey, give me a call if you need to go bald.
All right.
Moving on to the Panthers. The Panthers did like my favorite Madden offseason. They brought in John Mechie. That's my guy out of Alabama.
Mm-hmm.
Loved me some John Mechie in college. Been through a lot. They also bring in Travis Gibson. They brought in Jalen Phillips, who signed a big money deal to leave the Eagles. He was a one-year rental for the Eagles last season, had an outstanding season. This man goes to the Panthers on a 4-year, $120 million deal.
Mm-hmm.
Good for you, brother. They also brought in one of my favorite linebackers, two of my favorite linebackers, Devin Lloyd, on a 3-year, $45 million deal, which is a steal because it's only guaranteed up to $25 million. And then one of my favorite linebackers coming out of college who played every single position in college, Isaiah Simmons. I don't know what he'll be going there to play, but welcome to the Panthers, brother. The Panthers look like they're trying to contend.
Mm-hmm.
Are they a contender?
They are not.
Okay.
They are not a contender. They already said, Bryce Young, you got to show me again before we give you any money. So
they did, and he will be competing with Kenny Pickett. But on a serious note, though, they're a team that looks like they're trying to go for it right now.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what this team is, but I think they're also in a spot where they're looking at blowing it up too.
Yeah.
So,
one last hurrah.
Yeah. Also, they did sign Rasheed Walker. I forgot to mention that. He did come from Green Bay, a really good offensive tackle. So, yeah, we'll see what they do. Moving on to the New Orleans Saints. This is a team that had a really good offseason. They brought in Noah Fant on a 2-year deal. They brought in Travis Etienne on a 4-year deal. They brought in Anthony Jennings, Tyree Wilson, who they got from the Raiders. They brought in Caden Ellis from the Falcons, who's a really good starting middle linebacker. They brought back Julian Blackmon. This is a team that also seems like they're kind of banking on the talent of their new quarterback. Anything from the Saints here? I mean, do we feel anything?
I feel nothing. It's so sad. The Saints used to be such a vibrant organization, such loyal fans. Fans are still loyal there, but man, they've been watching some rough ball the last couple of years.
Yeah. Odd enough, I have this really weird association with Kellen Moore in my life because when I first started watching college football, Boise State was one of the first teams I watched. And Kellen Moore was the quarterback there. And at the time, he was the winningest quarterback in Boise State history. And he might still be. So, for some reason, Kellen Moore has traveled with me throughout my entire fandom of college and NFL. He is now their head coach. He's been there this would be his second season, I believe. Kellen Moore has the tools as an offensive mind in this league. I just don't know if he puts it together on this team.
Mm-hmm.
But coming from the Cowboys as an offensive coordinator, I really hope he kind of figures it out over there. But we'll see. Going to their rival in the same division, Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The Bucs had a kind of quiet offseason also. There really isn't any notable names that they brought in besides Alex Anzalone, who, depending on how you feel about that. They did bring in Kenneth Gainwell. They re-signed Cade Otton. Right now, they're in the middle of a standoff with Baker Mayfield. Reports are that he's willing to take his ball and go home if they do not get a contract reached. He's not willing to take a pay cut to stay, which good for you, Baker. So this is a team that is definitely way too long in the tooth. I love their head coach, and it's because he's a really good defensive mind, and I respect him. But at the same time, you've been trotting out this team. You had a great start last season. Baker Mayfield is in the MVP races, but then you fall apart and you lose to a team like the Panthers to go to the playoffs.
Yeah.
So this team is obviously like the writing's on the wall for them too. Do we think they get back into playoff contention this season? This division is wide open.
Yeah. It is, but I don't know. I just don't see it. I feel like they're so dysfunctional right now. I think their head coach is on his last leg, and obviously Baker's playing hardball, so
yeah.
I just don't have a lot of faith in them. But it's Baker. It's Baker magic, baby.
Yeah, and if they do have to move on from Baker, if you're a quarterback, there's really not a better place to walk into. I really think with their receiving core, if Godwin can get healthy, and the rookie that they had last season, I'm drawing a blank on his name, forgive me guys, but if he takes another step forward from the step he already took over the mantle from Mike Evans. So, if he takes another step forward, that's a really good team to walk into as a rookie quarterback. So if this is Baker's last season, this is a team that tried to keep that Super Bowl window from Tom Brady open as long as they could. So more power to them. Moving on to the final division, the NFC West, the Arizona Cardinals, who they did a lot and then they did a lot of nothing. There's really not a lot of notable names that they brought in. If you feel good about Gardner Minshew being the supposed starter because Jacoby Brissett is having a standoff with the team right now. What a weird subplot at the NFL right now. Jacoby, good for you getting your money, but you are 33 and you're a career backup. Yeah, what is happening?
I mean, you're Jacoby Brissett.
Yeah, this is good for you, Jacoby. Anyways, Gardner Minshew looks like you're going to be starting with that handlebar mustache. Tyler Algier, who went there to be a starting running back, will not be the starting running back because they decided to take a running back in the draft at number 3. Number 3.
Yep.
Jeremiah Love. So there's that. He has came out and said basically he's pissed. They brought in Kendrick Bourne, Devin Duvernay. They have brought in a lot of offensive line help, a lot of defensive line help, but not really any notable names. I mean, this is just what I saw. The report that I saw was that the Cardinals and the Browns are in on the tank for Arch. So
that would make sense.
And I believe the Jets also. So I guess this is another team that's not playing serious. They also brought in a new head coach, Matt LaFleur's brother, Mike LaFleur. So yeah, there's that. Any news on the Cardinals? Anything you got?
No. I just hope Jeremiah Love can get his yards and not just to be out there wasting away.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're dealing with Jacoby Brissett and Gardner Minshew, you better be in the tanking race for Arch.
Yeah, and let me also say, I brought up Anthony Richardson and Will Levis earlier. If you're the Cardinals, what are we doing? I would rather take a chance and see what one of those guys got. And the same thing with the Jets than to trot out Jacoby Brissett and Gardner Minshew. But anyways, moving on to my team, the best team ever made in the world. The Los Angeles Rams. We brought back Matt Stafford on a nice little $60 million deal. We re-signed Tyler Higbee. Obviously, we acquired Jalen Watson and through free agency on a 3-year, $51 million deal. We've re-signed Cameron Curl. We brought in Trent McDuffie via trade from the Chiefs. That was a first-rounder and a fifth-rounder and a third-rounder. We also brought in Myles Garrett for Jared Verse, a first-rounder, a second-rounder, and a third-rounder. We went full F them picks once again. I'd like to get your thoughts on our team first.
I mean, we've talked about it time and time again. It's this year or it's over.
Yeah.
It's going to get blown up. You've got Adam Schefter reporting that the chance of Aaron Donald coming back is greater than not. So he's on his way back. You guys obviously traded for Myles Garrett. You gave Matt a bunch of money. Puka is
He's
there.
getting out of rehab.
So, it's your time.
Yeah, did you see the report today?
No.
Our left tackle.
Oh, yes.
He's probably going to jail.
Yep.
I don't know what we got going on. A lyric, what are you doing?
Mm-hmm.
Like, what are we doing right now? What is going on with the domestic violence in the NFL?
It's always been a thing.
It's always been a thing, but, like, it just feels like it's at an all-time high here lately. I think we need everybody to get it together. I touched on James Pierce last episode. Guys, keep your hands to yourself. That's just a respect thing. Respect others as you would want done unto you. I'm not going to go too deep into that. This is not a podcast for litigation. We just give our opinions on things. However, I'm very disappointed in that situation. I'm disappointed in any player that goes down that road because regardless of how you feel about a person, that's not the answer. Moving on to the San Francisco 49ers, I do hope we get it together, but there's not a lot to be said that hasn't already been said about the Rams. The 49ers, they had a very interesting offseason. They brought back Trent Williams. They brought back Dre Greenlaw, who they brought over from the Broncos. They bring in Jack Jones. Nate Hobbs comes over from the Packers. And then, of course, their big signing, besides bringing in Christian Kirk, was Mike Evans.
Mm-hmm.
So this 49ers team, they look very interesting now heading into the season.
Mm-hmm.
Any thoughts?
For some odd reason, the 49ers are always, in the hunt.
Yeah.
For whatever reason, it doesn't matter what injuries they have, no matter how old George Kittle is getting, they're just always in the hunt.
Yeah.
And I expect them to be there again. I expect them to be a playoff team. I expect them to disrupt somebody's chances.
Yeah.
Do I see them getting to the Super Bowl? No, but I do see them being firmly in that NFC race.
Yeah, it's going to be a tough division again. So, they have a different looking team. It's not anything that we have scouted before. Ricky Pearsall, Mike Evans, don't know what's going on with Brandon Ayuk. I'm guessing he gets released or traded to the Commanders at some point, but it looks like his time there is done. So.
Absolutely. He just posted another rant about them, actually.
Oh, boy, Brandon. Somebody said the other day on Twitter, how did this man tear his ACL and get CTE? And
no, seriously.
I don't know what's going on with Brandon, but, brother, go get you some help, man. If you need it, go get it.
Mm-hmm.
Moving on to the final team, the Super Bowl champions, the Seattle Seahawks. A whole lot of nothing. They are going to be the reason that we have to pay Puka $150 million for no reason, coming off of rehab. They paid JSN 4 years, $120 million. It's actually a 4-year, $168 million, which he will probably get all of, but $120 is guaranteed. They didn't really do much else. They brought in Dante Fowler. I saw the reports that they're leaning towards signing Najee Harris to kind of compensate for losing Kenneth Walker, and they also drafted the rookie running back, I believe, Price. They re-signed Joshua Jobe. They didn't really do anything this offseason. So, obviously, the big question is, they brought back Rashid Shaheed also. The big question is, do they get back?
No.
Wow, that was quick. Do we expect anything? I mean, what are we looking at record-wise? Do you have a guess?
I mean, they might be a cool 10-7.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I could see them going 10-7, 9-8.
Yeah.
I think they're somewhere around that mark, and it is what it is. I don't think they expected to win last season.
Mm-hmm.
The owners are talking about selling the team.
Right.
So this is a team they're kind of content with where they are, and I think Mike McDonald his role is solidified.
Yeah. I mean, they got them one that no one expected them to get, so
yeah,
kind of blew it up afterwards.
Yeah, absolutely. So, all in all, I think that concludes our coverage for the NFL. Concludes I think, really good podcast.
Mm-hmm.
We will touch on free agency next episode. We went kind of long, and I don't want us to go super long. So, did you have anything you wanted to add?
I don't think so. Besides, welcome back, Serena, officially. Out there moving on that grass court with some rust, but she still got it.
Shout out
the power in the shot selection.
Shout out Serena. Shout out Crash Out Mira.
Wow. Yeah, shout out to Mira.
Yeah, I mean, that's impressive at a young age.
Yep.
But yeah, we're rooting for you, Serena. So come back and take them by storm.
Yep. That's all I got.
That's all I got. Thanks, guys, for listening to another episode. We appreciate the support and the love, and we will be back with another one very soon. Yeah, so like, share, and subscribe, guys.
Thanks.
Peace.